I gave my son everything. Then he abandoned me when I needed him most. So I taught him a lesson he'll never forget. I spent my whole life making sure my son had everything I never did. A good home, a good education, a future filled with opportunities. I never asked for much in return, just that he remember where he came from. But the second I got sick, he disappeared. No calls, no visits, nothing. Until one day, out of nowhere, he showed up at my door. But not because he missed me. No, he wanted something. He thought I'd just welcome him back with open arms, that I'd give him whatever he asked for. But he had no idea that I had something of my own planned. And when he finally realized, it was too late. Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. I spent my whole life making sure my son, Jake, had every opportunity I never did. I worked double shifts so he could go to a good school. I skipped vacations, new clothes, and even basic luxuries just to make sure he never had to struggle. When he got older, I helped him with his first car, paid for part of his college tuition, and always made sure he had a place to come home to. And I never asked for anything in return, not once. I just wanted him to be happy, to have a good life, to succeed. And he did. Jake graduated, got a high-paying job, moved to a new city, and built his own life. And I was so proud. Sure, the calls became less frequent, the visits home even rarer. But I told myself it was normal. He was young, busy, finding his way. Then, one day, I got sick. It started as a persistent cough, then exhaustion that I just couldn't shake. The doctors ran tests. The results? Not good. I had a long road ahead. Treatments, medical bills, recovery. I didn't panic. I had spent my whole life handling things on my own. But I thought, just maybe, Jake would be there for me the way I had always been there for him. So I called him, and when he picked up, the first words out of his mouth were, "Mom, I'm really busy right now. Can we talk later?" I swallowed my disappointment. "Sure, sweetheart, just call me when you can." He never did. I tried to give him space, thinking maybe he was just overwhelmed. But weeks passed, then months. Every call went to voicemail, every text was left on read. I even saw him posting online, going out to expensive restaurants, traveling, living his life like nothing had changed. And me, I was fighting for mine, alone. That's when I realized I had raised a son who didn't care about me. And as much as it broke my heart, I decided I was done waiting for him to show up. I tried to pretend it didn't hurt. Tried to tell myself, he's busy. He doesn't realize how bad things are. But deep down, I knew the truth. Jake knew. He had to. Family members had reached out to him. My sister even told me. I spoke to Jake last week. He said he's been busy, but he'll check in soon. That was 2 months ago. The reality was Jake had moved on. His life was good, too good, and he didn't want the burden of a sick mother pulling him back. And that's what hurt the most. One evening, I sat on my couch, my body aching from another round of treatments when my phone rang. I grabbed it, my heart jumping when I saw the name. Jake. For a split second, I thought, maybe he finally came to his senses. Maybe he realizes how much I need him. But the moment I answered, my hope died. "Hey, Mom," Jake said, his voice unnaturally cheerful. "How are you?" I blinked. How am I? He hadn't spoken to me in months, and now he was acting like everything was normal. I took a slow breath. "I've been better." Yeah, I heard you weren't feeling great," he said, brushing it off like I had a cold instead of something that was slowly draining the life out of me. I clenched my teeth. "What do you want, Jake?" He hesitated. Then, with zero shame, he finally got to the point. "Well, I kind of ran into a financial issue and I was wondering if you could help me out." Silence. I swear for a moment I forgot how to breathe. After months of ignoring me, of leaving me to fight this battle alone, he was calling because he needed money. I closed my eyes, my grip tightening on the phone. "How much?" I asked, my voice icy. Well, just a small loan," he said lightly. "Maybe $5,000, just until I get back on my feet." A bitter laugh escaped my throat. "Back on your feet? Jake, you just went to Hawaii last month. You're driving a new car. What exactly do you need $5,000 for? He stammered. Look, I don't want to get into the details, but it's kind of urgent. And I figured, you'd want to help your son. I felt something in me snap. Help my son? I repeated slowly. The same son who left me to fight my illness alone? Who ignored my calls? Who couldn't even be bothered to check in until he needed something from me? Mom, come on, he said, his tone frustrated now, like I was the one being unreasonable. It's not like that, I cut him off. You know what, Jake? You're right, I would love to help you. His voice lit up. Really? Mom, thank you so much. I knew I could count on... But first, I interrupted, my voice sharp. I just need you to do one small thing for me. Okay, he said cautiously. I smiled. I just need you to do exactly what you did for me these past few months. Silence. What? He finally muttered. You heard me, I said, my voice cold. I want you to give me the same level of help and support that you gave me when I needed you. More silence. Then, in a quiet voice, he whispered, Mom, that's not fair. I laughed. Oh, honey, it's exactly fair. And then, I hung up. The moment I hung up, my hands stopped shaking. For the first time in months, I felt at peace. Jake had abandoned me when I needed him the most, and yet, he had the audacity to come crawling back when he needed something. Number, not anymore. I had spent my whole life putting him first, making sure he had every opportunity, every chance, every advantage. And when I finally needed just a little bit of that in return, he had disappeared. And now he was getting exactly what he gave me, nothing. I expected more calls, more texts, some sort of apology maybe. Instead, I got silence. Jake didn't call me back. He didn't text. Nothing. At first I thought maybe he finally got the message, that maybe he realized what he had done and was too ashamed to face me. But then, a week later, I got a call from my sister. Hey, she said, her voice hesitant. I need to ask you something. Did you really refuse to help Jake? I sighed. Let me guess, he came crying to you? She hesitated. Well, yeah, he said he's in a tough spot and that you basically abandoned him. I let out a bitter laugh. Oh, that's rich. I abandoned him? That's what he's saying, she admitted. I took a deep breath, my anger bubbling again. So, let me get this straight. He ignored me for months while I was sick. Didn't visit, didn't call, pretended I didn't exist. And now that he needed something, he was playing the victim. I scoffed. Did he also tell you that he only called me because he wanted money? Silence. Then, finally, wait, what? Yep, I said, shaking my head. He didn't call to check on me. He didn't call to ask how I was doing. He called because he wanted $5,000. And when I told him that I'd be happy to help him the same way he helped me, he said it wasn't fair. My sister let out a long breath. He left you alone when you were sick. And now he's mad that you won't bail him out? I smirked. Exactly. She was quiet for a moment. Then she laughed. Well, she said, her voice laced with amusement, I hope he figures it out, because he's not getting a dime from me either. And just like that, Jake's house of cards started to fall. After I hung up with my sister, I expected things to calm down. Jake had made his bed. Now he had to lie in it. But instead of learning his lesson, he did what selfish people always do. He doubled down. A few days later, I got a call from a blocked number. I hesitated for a moment before answering. Hello? And of course, it was Jake. Mom, he said, his voice strained. Can we please just talk? I sighed, already tired of him. Talk about what, Jake? How you ignored me when I needed you? How you're only calling me now because you need money? He exhaled sharply. That's not fair, Mom. You're making it sound worse than it is. Oh, really? I said, my voice cold. Then tell me, Jake, what exactly is the correct way to describe a son abandoning his mother while she's sick? Silence. He had no answer. Finally, he muttered, I know I should have called, but I didn't think it was that serious. I felt a new wave of anger. It wasn't that serious, I repeated, my voice dangerously calm. Jake, I was going through treatment. I was in and out of the hospital. You don't think that's serious? I don't know, Mom, he snapped, his mask slipping. You never asked for help. I laughed bitterly. Oh, so it's my fault now? I should have begged you to care? Is that what you're saying? He hesitated. That's not what I meant. I let out a slow breath. You know what, Jake? I actually don't care what you meant anymore. He panicked. Mom, come on, I'm trying here. I smirked. Oh, now you're trying? Now that you need something? Silence again. And then finally, he dropped the act completely. Fine, he snapped, his voice hard now. You want the truth? Yeah, I screwed up. But you're still my mother, and at the end of the day, you should want to help me. I felt my stomach turn. There it was. He didn't regret abandoning me. He didn't care about how he had hurt me. He just thought that, no matter what, I'd always be there to bail him out. And that's when I knew. He was beyond saving. I sighed. Jake, I do want to help you. His voice brightened. You do? Yes, I said. And that's why I'm giving you the best gift a mother can give her son. He hesitated. What? I smiled. I'm letting you face the real world. On your own. Silence. Then a sharp intake of breath. Are you serious? He hissed. As serious as when you ignored me for months, I said calmly. Figure it out, Jake. Just like I had to. And with that, I hung up for the last time. The moment I hung up, I felt it. Freedom. Not the kind you get from moving to a new city or quitting a bad job. The real kind. The kind that comes when you finally cut out the weight that's been dragging you down for years. Jake had spent his whole life believing that I would always be there, no matter how badly he treated me. That I would always be an option, always ready to pick up the pieces when he messed up. But now, he was on his own. And for the first time, that wasn't my problem anymore. At first, I expected Jake to keep calling, texting, begging. But something funny happened. Instead of coming to terms with what he had done, he did the one thing selfish people always do. He played the victim. It started with gossip. My sister called me a week later, sounding annoyed. Guess what Jake's telling everyone? I laughed, already knowing. Let me guess. He's saying I abandoned him? Bingo, she sighed. He's telling people you turned your back on your own son and that you're holding a grudge for no reason. I smirked. Classic Jake. He had zero accountability. He didn't regret what he had done. He just regretted that it backfired on him. Let him talk, I said simply. I don't owe him an explanation. And that was the truth. A month later, I got a text from a random number. Jake, I get it now. I really do. I don't blame you for cutting me off. I don't know what to do. I stared at the message for a long time. Maybe in another life, I would have responded. Maybe I would have let him back in, given him one more chance. But in this life, I left him on read, because at the end of the day, I didn't owe him a damn thing. Some kids think their parents will always be there, no matter what. Jake thought that no matter how badly he treated me, I would always come running. But life doesn't work like that. Relationships are a two-way street. And the second I stopped chasing him, he realized just how alone he really was. Ever had to walk away from a selfish family member? Drop your stories in the comments. I'd love to hear them.